Do you feel like you work your tail off and it hasn't gotten you anywhere? I have some pointers for you to finally get the promotion you've been waiting for right after this. Okay, so you work hard, questionably harder than most people at your workplace, right? And you applied for this job and you just got passed up. Let's say this is a leadership position that you really wanted, but someone else got it, and of course, you feel like they were less qualified than you. Happens all the time. First thing I'm going to tell you is don't take it personal, all right? And trust me, I know it's going to be super, super hard, but just don't take it personal. Just keep it professional, okay? Especially in high profile jobs, at big corporations, they are going to be looking, right, on how you react to disappointment. So keep that in mind, all right? I know you want to bite their head off, and they probably deserve it. I know it feels that way. It's tough. I've been there. I know all about it. Believe me. But, if you react in an adverse way, that can ruin your brand, right? You don't want to do that. So instead, what I want you to do is just take this disappointment and just use it as fuel, right? That way you just become the baddest. I mean, better than you ever have before, so that way they don't even have an excuse next time not to hire you. Maybe you're a rock star at your job, right? But no one notices you. I mean, these things happen, right? But there's a number of things that you can do right now to get started. So let's talk about branding. What's your personal brand like at the workplace? I mean, how do your peers look at you? Are you helpful, like anytime to your peers, like when they have questions? Are you the one that just jumps out, to like, yeah, I got you, just answer question really quickly? Are you their go-to when the boss isn't around, right? When the boss is gone, who do they look to? Okay, that could be you. And I don't know, you would know that, right? But if that's not you, that is something that you can definitely work on, When it comes to your peers, are you that kind of person that they can rely on no matter what? Like they can always rely on you to help them out, especially if they're swamped or they can't get things done. Like you're just that person, right? I mean, that goes a long ways. This is part of your brand. Do you like glow with positivity? Do you put out those good vibes? These are things that you can definitely work on if that is not you. These make a difference, believe me. Um, are you a social butterfly kind of person? Like do you mingle with everybody or do you just keep to yourself, and kind of that introvert? Oh, and here's a big one too. Are you on time? And when I say are you on time, like, do you show up 10 or 15 minutes before shift? Because I mean, personally, I think that the definition of on time is, it's being early, So remember that. Keep that in mind, And I'm talking 10 to 15 minutes early, like I was saying, being early is being on time. So keep that in mind. Have you noticed that your leaders, your bosses, supervisors, they show up before you and leave after you? I mean, that's one of those things you got to understand when you get that promotion. You're going to be working a lot more. So be prepared for that, but that's what you want. And I'm all for it. I've been in leadership most of my life. And when I'm not in leadership, I'm miserable. I can't stand it. But, got to ask yourself, do you really want that, and why? Why do you want this? Because you need to remember that. If you're looking into leadership, I want you to focus on all those things that we spoke about earlier, or that I talked to you about. Like how your peers look at you, your vibes, your availability. All right, these are a lot of things that you're going to want to be focusing on to change. Are you outgoing? Don't be an introvert. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, you can be an introvert. You can still get promoted. I know plenty of people that are introverts and they get promoted. But you are going to have to fake it until you become it, right? Just a little bit harder than next. So remember, fake it till you become it. Now, what I want you to do when it comes to your bosses and your supervisors and things like that, I actually want you to start paying attention. Like, just start paying attention, see what they do. Look at their day to day, like what they do on a daily basis. In fact, I want you to volunteer if you can. Volunteer and maybe do some of their daily work that they do from day to day. Like it could be like reports, it could be your team stats, team bonding ideas. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. The list goes on and on and on. You know better than anyone how your how your company is. What goes on over there. All right. If you can, maybe shadow your boss. They allow that. Don't be afraid to ask. Like, hey, I want to be in leadership one day. Is it cool if I shadow you, like during my lunch period a few times? I just want to see like what you do. Or maybe they take it to lunch at the same time. So maybe you can take a different lunch. It depends, but figure it out. Every situation is definitely different. But shadowing your boss, your supervisor, that's going to help you kind of know like basically how the business runs. I want you to basically, when it comes to getting a promotion, I want you to already act like you have this job. I want to act like you have it already. This is your role. And so all the stuff that we talked about, how you can change your personality and building your brand around that, it makes a huge difference. So I want you to do that. All right. And by the way, when your company gives you stretch goals, because I know they do this all the time, stretch goals are normally goals that, you have to stretch to, and all of a sudden those stretch goals that were a stretch goal of 6 months ago or last year are now like your minimum standard. Yeah, I know how that is too. In fact, I've pushed that on my staff before. Just don't take it personal. All right. How you handle the pressure is the difference between you and everybody else, and how you can actually be in that leadership position. Okay. That's what it's going to take. All right. Now, another thing it's going to take, with your brand, like, who are you? You might be a slayer. You can do the best job ever and you're at the top of the stats all the time and you're just a killer, and you're phenomenal. But nobody knows you. That can happen. You want to get a leadership role and you could be one of the best out there, but they don't even know you. So, how do you get noticed, And be honest with you, like maybe look at, we'll just say like, how do the supervisors and managers dress? We can do that. Do you dress like you're in your work from home sweatpants, or comfortable, or are you, dressing in business casual? That can make a big difference. So that's what I would do. I'd definitely start to pay attention to see how the leadership, does dress, and just mirror them. You see what they're doing? Just mirror them. You already got this. This job is yours. Remember that it's yours, but you got to take it. So I want you to really, really act like you already have that role. Okay, goes a long way. Now, when it comes to businesses and corporations, things like that, another thing I want you to look at is, like what are the views of the company, and what's their values? How's their culture? These are important things on a big company. They want to know, like, if you know what that company is all about. So I suggest you learn it if you don't already, and just become completely versed in their core values. Okay, that definitely goes a long ways. So keep this in mind, by the way. And a lot of you guys forget this. All right, I want you to remember this. It can take years, months, weeks, days to build up your brand. Okay, it takes a long time. You got to be consistent, do the right things. You realize that literally in a matter of seconds, you can destroy your brand. Destroy it. Now, of course, you can get it back. This world that we live in our lives and everything is just a huge learning curve. You can get it back. But the thing is, it's like, don't put yourself through that. All right. So once you have this brand and your personality is out there and you're just killing it, and you say you get passed up on a job, and man, does it sting. It stings. It stings. I know personally how bad it stings. I know. But what I want you to do is don't make the same mistakes that a lot of people make. I'm not saying that I haven't made that before, because I mean, become a professional or a pro at anything, you got to make mistakes, and then you freaking get better at it. You know what I mean? That's just how it works. You make your mistakes, learn from them, don't make them again. Hopefully, I can cut you a whole lot of heartache, by just keeping it together. During an interview, if you don't get the job, and don't lash out, just use it as fuel, and just be you. Don't change too much. I still want you to be you, but I also want you to not ruin this, not ruin your brand, and you don't get that. Now, some of you that have already done that, you know what I'm talking about. All right, you can get it back. Okay, so relax. It happens to the best of them, guaranteed. In some of your leadership roles that are in your company, in your building, they've done some stupid stuff, right? And it may or may not have set them back. A lot of times it does set you back, but you can still get what you want. You just have to correct it. Don't make that same mistake again. Be a little vulnerable too. When they bring that up in a future, interview, you might be like, yeah, I don't normally react like that, but I did, and I take ownership of it. It's just my passion. It's passion. I really wanted this. I don't like disappointment. It hurt. It stung, and I definitely reacted in a way I didn't really want to react, but I did it, and just own up to it. And just say, going forward, it was a learning opportunity, and now I know what not to do, and I'm looking forward to this position. Okay. If you're still watching this video and you found this information helpful, feel free to drop a comment down below. If you want to say anything that you want to talk about, it could be a future topic, in the future. Smash that like button for me if you don't mind. And, just consider subscribing, because I have a lot of information to give. 20 plus years to have to date me, but a lot of experience to give you guys. And, I'm just getting started. All right. Thanks for stopping by.